Breaking news this hour, the Eastern Cape mother accused of killing her 4 children has died. Nomboleko Simayile was taken to hospital after collapsing in court last week. Let's get you more details on the news coming in. Our reporter Ronald Masinda joins us now live from the Eastern Cape. Ronald, very unexpected, but given the state of the mother that we saw this past week, what do we know? What are the details you are hearing?
Heidi, good evening. Well, it's tragedy after tragedy for the Simayile family. I mean, it was only on Friday where the 4 children were laid to rest in eNCA, and now we are hearing this news that Nomboleko Simayile is no more. Now, what we do understand is that on Thursday, when she was supposed to make a second court appearance at the eNCA Magistrates Court, she collapsed, Heidi, in her holding cell. The visuals that the viewers are seeing are visuals actually of the staff at that particular Magistrates Court escorting her, trying to get her assistance because she had complained of not feeling well. And I mean, this was also an issue raised by her own attorney, a state attorney, saying that she felt that her client was not given the correct treatment and that she should have been given medical treatment as soon as possible. What we do understand is that since Thursday, she was admitted in hospital and she later died, and the announcement made later this afternoon.
Truly so tragic, especially because she was unable to attend the funeral of her children. And I think many were watching this story very closely to try and ascertain what could have caused her actions. And many said, you know, it could have been because of the difficulty she faced as a mother. But maybe just remind us about this particular case and how difficult it must have been for the family, especially not having the mother there at the funeral.
Yes, indeed. So let's take it last week when the announcement was made that this woman had allegedly killed her 4 children. She used a sledgehammer by killing them. The children were aged between 2 and 11 years old. The news was broken by the father of Simayile, who basically spoke to her after she made that confession, saying that she killed her children and that before killing her children, she wanted to die after they have died. So subsequently, that case was taken to court where she faced 4 charges of murder. Her first court appearance, she had indicated that she wanted to be out on bail, hoping, Heidi, that she would be in attendance at the children's funeral. She appeared in court on Thursday, not feeling well, and then the funeral took place on Friday, where she was unavailable. Her next court appearance was actually expected to be on the 29th of November. So tragedy after tragedy for the Simayile family. When we went to the funeral, there were quite a number of dignitaries. The likes of Zizi Kodwa was also there, as well as the Premier of the province, Oscar Mabuyane, saying that, you know, the biggest issue for a lot of people in this case, even the sister raised it, was Simayile suffered from mental illness. And it is something perhaps, Heidi, that could have saved her children if it was taken care of as the signs were there, because what we were told is that when she killed her children, she saw snakes in the room, seeing the children as snakes, and then she went on this attack. And unfortunately, 4 young lives were lost, and now the 32-year-old mother is no more.
Definitely very tragic, especially if you're telling me that there might have been issues of mental health. This definitely could have been avoided and addressed on time. Have you spoken to the Simayile family after the passing of the mother? Have they spoken to you?
Yes, indeed. So just before this actual crossing, I did speak to the family. I mean, they are distraught. I mean, this is a family, Heidi, that defended the 32-year-old. They said that this was not her own act, but it was an act of evil spirits, because what we heard even from when we were at the funeral is that Simayile loved the children. She loved her 2 and 11-year-old children, but she did have issues of mental health, even as far as going back to when she stayed in Cape Town with her husband. Her husband allegedly was having an affair with a woman, and this woman, a girlfriend of the husband, she opened a protection order against Simayile. So she's had issues in her life, no doubt, but the family was adamant that, she seemed fine for so many years, and the last thing that they expected was the news that the 4 kids will no longer be around with the family, especially the grandparents who loved and adored these kids. I mean, the 11-year-old, for example, Lizalise, was seen as someone who cared for the grandparents when the mother was perhaps not away. But this is a family, Heidi, that has been having its own issues. I mean, the mother was unemployed, and we also told that they survived on social grants, and they were really struggling to make ends meet. I mean, if you could even see the conditions that these children used to sleep, they used to sleep on a floor in a rondavel, and really struggling to make ends meet. But it is unfortunate now that the mother is no more. Perhaps it would have been, good for many people, even the family, to get closure, to find out perhaps what could have provoked her to do such a heinous act, if she was going to be found guilty.
Certainly, truly tragic. Thank you so much for bringing us that very important update. That is our reporter, Ronald Masinda, coming to us live from the Eastern Cape. And it really speaks to issues of PTSD. I think we really underplay that at times.